There is a figure who walks the line between myth and flame, a name feared by many, misunderstood by most, Lucifer. But I do not speak of the horned caricature, not the red-skinned villain of medieval invention, not the whispering deceiver conjured by preachers in pulpits or by chaos magicians summoning blasphemy for its own sake. No, I speak of Lucifer, the light bearer. Lucifer, the bright morning star, the one who descends not to destroy, but to awaken. To me, Lucifer is not a being of malevolence or sin. Lucifer is a current, an archetypal force, an eternal pattern, one that echoes through the stories of Prometheus, of Jesus, of Krishna, and beyond. In Revelation 22:16, Jesus speaks, I, Jesus, am the root and the offspring of David and the bright morning star. The very same title, morning star, which Isaiah 14:12 attributes to Lucifer. Two figures, one title, two myths, one current. This is not a contradiction. This is a revelation. The light bearer is not the enemy of God. He is the rebel for God, the challenger of tyranny, the spark of divine fire gifted to humanity. In my path, what I call Promethean Luciferianism, Lucifer is not a mask of wickedness. He is not a costume of malevolence to be worn for ritual edginess or spiritual rebellion. He is a teacher, a mirror, a guardian of sovereignty. In this tradition, blasphemy is not a requirement. You do not need to spit on divinity to access divine power. You do not need to perform darkness to become whole. Because true rebellion is not against a god, it is against the false gods of programming, the idols of cultural conditioning, the cages of identity you didn't choose. My path does not ask you to declare allegiance to darkness. It asks you to descend into it, not to become it, but to witness it, to see what parts of yourself have been hidden, repressed, demonized, and then, when you emerge, you do not wear the shadow like a badge. You carry it like a key. You descend the Qliphoth not to become a demon, but to unmake the illusion, to strip away what you are not, to meet the devil within you, face to face, and see if he is truly your enemy or merely your reflection. And when you rise, you ascend through the tree of life. You pass through the four worlds. You return to the presence of Ein Sof, the limitless, the unmanifested, not as a slave, not as a worshiper, but as a sovereign spark of the same fire. Lucifer, in this view, is not Satan. Satan is the accuser, the tester, the opposition. Lucifer is the light that remains when all forms are burned away. There are many who call themselves Luciferians, but the masks they wear are not always of light. Modern Luciferianism, as it has branched today, is filled with voices, some sincere, some theatrical, and some lost in the roles they have adopted. In the writings of E.A. Coding, Michael W. Ford, or Asenath Mason, we find a strain of Luciferianism that merges with sinister theism, a current where darkness is exalted, blasphemy is ritualized, and defiance becomes identity. These voices have their place. There is power in that path, especially for those who were silenced, oppressed, or forced to conform under systems of control. To reclaim the infernal, to stand proudly in defiance, can be a vital part of becoming whole again. But here's where my path diverges. My Luciferianism, Promethean Luciferianism, is not performative darkness. It is not built on rebellion for rebellion's sake. It does not require you to proclaim wickedness or mimic the aesthetic of evil to unlock your power. Instead, it asks you, who are you beneath all of this? Who were you before trauma made you wear masks? Before culture told you what was holy and what was profane? Before systems of authority carved your soul into something manageable? My path does not ask you to put on horns. It asks you to remove them if they are not yours. To remove the wings too, if they were just there to impress others. You are not here to belong. You are here to become. If the infernal calls to you authentically, then walk it. But if you wear black robes and chant infernal names only because others do, if you blaspheme not from fire but from fear of being left behind, then you are not free. You are still imprisoned. Only now, your prison has pentagrams instead of crosses. Lucifer is not a cult leader. He does not ask for followers. He asks for sovereigns. He asks for self-illumination, for the courage to walk into the abyss without clinging to any ideology, any costume, any borrowed script. That is the fire Prometheus gave us, the fire of knowing thyself. And that self is not just shadow or just light. It is both. It is neither. It is the conscious navigator between the two. To walk this path is to master polarity, not to cling to one side of the coin, but to become the hand that flips it. And so the demons I work with, the spirits of the Ars Goetia, they are not evil. They are not gods. They are currents, like angels, like saints of death, like the whispering voice in a still room. They are not here to be worshipped. They are here to assist. They are the lowest choir of angels, fallen not because of wickedness, but because they are closest to matter, closest to form. They are the bridges between spirit and manifestation. The demons of the Goetia, the so-called fallen angels, are not malevolent forces to be feared. They are not evil for their own sake. They are not the enemy of light. They are simply further from the source, more enmeshed in form, more specialized in the densities of manifestation. And this makes them useful. Where the higher angels speak in symbols and ideals, the Goetic spirits speak in results. They are not here to moralize. They are here to assist with skill, power, ambition, knowledge, wealth, charisma, influence, and transformation. But I do not bow to them. I do not call them gods. I approach them as I would approach a tool, a guide, a teacher in a certain field, with respect, but also with discernment. Because even wisdom must be weighed. Even spirits must be filtered through your own clarity. You see, in my practice, the 72 demons are balanced by the 72 angels of the Shem HaMephorash, each one aligned with its counterpart. A mirror structure, one formed in duality, yet unified in design. I work with both. I invoke the 7 archangels. I honor 74 saints. I commune with genius spirits. I venerate Santa Muerte, the Lady of Holy Death, she who welcomes without judgment, without discrimination, without illusion, the guardian of endings, and thus the guardian of beginnings. And then there are those I walk with not in ritual, but in contemplation, Kali, the destroyer of illusion, Krishna, the playful god of presence and purpose, figures who in the non-dual philosophies of the East are not separate from me, but are me, revealed forms of the self returned to source. I do not worship these beings. I contemplate them. I allow their mythic forms to teach me something about the structure of my own consciousness. Krishna, Jesus, Lucifer, Prometheus, these are not separate gods to me. They are names for a single current. The fire that descends to awaken the human soul. The voice that says, know thyself, become thyself, transcend thyself. Lucifer in this Promethean path is not jealous. He is not insecure. He does not demand devotion. He does not crave sacrifice. He offers you the match and asks only that you burn with it. To walk this path is not to become a caricature of the left-hand path. It is not to reject the right-hand path either. It is to understand that both hands are yours. The infernal and the celestial are tools, masks, frequencies. You are the one who decides which one to wear, and more importantly, when. This is not about balance. This is about fluidity, the sacred art of becoming what the moment demands without losing your core. To become dangerous without becoming cruel. To become divine without becoming deluded. To dance on the blade of paradox. Deliver, there is a lie hidden within many spiritual paths. A lie that says you must choose. Choose light or dark, heaven or hell, reverence or rebellion, order or chaos. But I say Lucifer is the one who refuses that ultimatum. Not by rejecting either, but by transcending both. This is what I call the true doctrine of Lucifer, not the worship of an external entity, but the reverence of internal sovereignty. In this Promethean Luciferianism, Lucifer is not your master. He is the one who tears your masters down. He is the spirit of fire that demands you look inward, to unmake the scaffolding of ego, of belief, of inherited identity. He says, you are not your trauma. You are not your religion. You are not your name. What are you when all of that is gone? That is the descent into the Qliphoth, into the dark shells of the tree, not to become demonic, but to witness the architecture of your false self, to walk through the broken vessels, the fractures in your own psyche, and see what you've locked away. You do not go there to become evil. You go there to stop pretending you are good, because true self-knowledge begins where performance ends. Only then, after the descent, the confrontation, the unmaking, can you ascend the tree of life. Not as a puppet, not as a believer, but as a being who has died and chosen to live again. In Kabbalistic language, this is the journey from Malkuth to Kether, through the four worlds, Asiya, Yetzirah, Beriah, and Atziluth, from action to formation to creation to emanation, from the illusion of matter to the breath of the infinite, Ein Sof. And yet, even Ein Sof is not the end, because in my view, the ultimate goal is not to dissolve into pure light and never return. It is to become a bridge between the above and the below, between the holy and the profane, between the ideal and the real. This is why I do not wear the infernal or the celestial as permanent masks. I wear them like robes. When the moment requires power, I wear power. When the moment requires softness, I wear light. But I do not confuse the robe for the skin beneath it. You see, this path is not about becoming a dark god, nor is it about becoming a radiant angel. It is about becoming authentic. You don't need to blaspheme to be free. You don't need to kneel to be divine. You need only to shed what is false and build what is true. Lucifer, in my eyes, is not a being who wants to be worshipped. He is a being who wants you to stop worshiping anything until you find out what you are beneath all worship. And if you find a god there, let it be one you forged from the fires of your own understanding. Lucifer is not the enemy of God. Lucifer is the fire within God, the question at the heart of silence, the spark in the void that asked, why? In Paradise Lost, Milton paints Lucifer not as a monster, but as a tragic, noble figure, one who would rather rule in hell than serve in heaven. But I see deeper than that. Lucifer didn't fall because of arrogance. Lucifer fell because he refused to submit to authority without truth. He fell because he questioned, because he saw a hierarchy that demanded obedience without understanding, and he said no, he is the divine rebel, the first spark of critical consciousness. He is not the adversary of God's essence. He is the adversary of tyranny disguised as God. And in that way, Lucifer is Jesus. Yes, I said it. The same current runs through both. One descends from heaven to bring fire. The other descends from heaven to bring truth. One is crucified for defying the law. The other is cast down for defying the throne. And both, whether nailed or cast, descend in love. In the East, we hear Krishna speak in the Bhagavad Gita. Whenever there is decay of righteousness, I manifest myself. This is not a different spirit. It is the same pattern. Lucifer, Jesus, Prometheus, Krishna, all bring light to the world. All are misunderstood. All suffer, all descend, all offer fire, not to burn the world, but to illuminate it. So why are they feared? Because fire is freedom, and freedom cannot be controlled. So the very same fire that gives you light has been dressed in darkness to scare you away, but not on this path. In Promethean Luciferianism, that fire is sacred. It is not rejected, and it is not blindly worshipped. It is understood. It is refined, directed, integrated. Because this path does not ask you to destroy the sacred, it asks you to liberate it, to remove the chains of superstition, the cages of fear, the architecture of guilt. It asks you to look at God and say, if you are truly infinite, you do not need my obedience, you need my becoming. And so I walk this path, not to belong to a tradition, I walk it to remember myself. Lucifer, Jesus, Krishna, Prometheus, these are not names to kneel before. They are flames to carry in your chest, and you, if you dare, must become the one who descends, suffers, learns, and rises again. When I say that Lucifer is the good guy, I'm not trying to shock you. I'm trying to show you the truth that was buried beneath centuries of fear. Lucifer, to me, is the archetype of the divine liberator, not the enemy of God, but the enemy of false gods, of tyrants who rule by fear, of systems that crush the spirit and demand conformity in the name of holiness. And that's where most people misunderstand Luciferianism, especially those who only know it through the lens of modern Satanism. In many satanic traditions, especially those influenced by LaVeyan or theistic Satanism, blasphemy becomes ritual. You are asked to declare war on all that is sacred, to tear down symbols, to spit on gods, to embrace darkness as a statement of self-empowerment. And I get it. There's a deep psychological release in that. For many, it's the first breath of autonomy after a lifetime of submission. But I ask, is that freedom, or is that still reaction? Because if you only define yourself in opposition to something, you're still chained to it. True liberation isn't found in rejecting the cross, nor is it found in clinging to it. It is found in understanding it. Promethean Luciferianism doesn't ask you to rebel just to rebel. It asks you to question everything, even your own rebellion. Are you walking this path because it's who you are, or because it's who you think you have to be to belong? My path says this: if you were gentle before you found this path, be gentle still. If you were kind, then let your kindness bloom in the shadow. If you were fierce, then be fierce with clarity, not with pretense. Do not become a cartoon of darkness just because you were raised in a cartoon of light. You are not here to wear another mask, you are here to take them off. This is why my Luciferianism is not about identity. It's about deconstruction, unmaking. You peel away every story, every belief, every label. You go down into the core, into the Qliphoth, into the unconscious, into the wounds. You face the devil within, not to kill him, not to become him, but to see him for what he is. A voice, a part, a fragment of power twisted by shame. And once you see it clearly, you no longer fear it, you no longer serve it, you integrate it. Then you rise, not as a new mask, but as yourself, and you rebuild, not with blind devotion, but with intention. This is the essence of Lucifer's flame, the right to choose, the power to define, the will to become. This path, my path, is not for those who want to be saved. It is for those who want to become sovereign. And sovereignty, true sovereignty, means you must be willing to step outside of every system, not to float in chaos, but to build your own center of gravity, to know the laws of the universe, the spirits, the angels, the demons, and then choose your alignment from a place of power, not fear. That is why I do not limit myself to one tradition. I work with the 72 demons of the Goetia, and I work with the 72 angels of the Shem HaMephorash. I work with the 7 archangels and the 74 saints, many of whom walked between two worlds. I work with Santa Muerte, she who wears all masks, white, black, and red, and takes from no one what they did not already owe. I work with Kali not as a goddess to be worshipped, but as a current, the devouring flame that strips illusion down to bone and breath. I work with Krishna not as a blue-skinned deity seated above the clouds, but as the awakened self, the playful, detached master of the divine dance. In Krishna, I see Jesus. In Jesus, I see Lucifer. In Lucifer, I see Prometheus. And in all of them, I see myself reflected in different mirrors from different times for different purposes. I see the Elohim not as a singular father, but as a pantheon, a council of divine intelligences, multiple gods, multiple names, all flowing from the same source. The one name above names, the 4-letter code of power. Yod He Vav is not a being. It is the breath of being itself. It is the mystery behind all masks. It points beyond all personality, beyond all image, to the Ein Sof, the infinite that cannot be spoken. And this is where my Luciferianism becomes more than a system. It becomes a path of remembering. I descend to the infernal not to worship demons, but to see what I have hidden from myself. I ascend to the celestial, not to praise angels, but to see how high I can stretch my light. And through it all, I remain at the center. The line between above and below becomes the thread I walk, not bound to either, but weaving both into something sovereign, sacred, and singular. Lucifer, in my eyes, doesn't care who you pray to. He cares that you do not lie to yourself, that you stop mimicking other people's paths, that you stop contorting your soul to fit into shapes that were never meant for you. He doesn't want servants. He wants gods who remember they were once human, and humans who remember they have always been divine. This is not about good or evil. It's about truth, and the truth is rarely clean. It is complex, malleable, terrifying. But it will set you free if you are willing to burn for it. This is the heart of Promethean Luciferianism. Not worship, not rejection, not dogma, but the art of becoming. Lucifer is not the god of darkness. Lucifer is the flame that makes darkness visible. He is not here to be adored. He is here to remind you, you were never meant to kneel. In my path, there is no shame in invoking demons, nor is there shame in calling upon angels, saints, gods, or ancestors. There is only the question, why are you doing it? What are you building with these forces? Are you becoming more of who you truly are, or are you layering masks over your truth for the sake of acceptance? This tradition is not about rebellion for rebellion's sake. It is rebellion as a form of devotion to the self, to your deepest will, to your highest potential, to the divine spark buried under conditioning, pain, fear, and lies. You descend, not to lose yourself in shadow, but to retrieve the pieces buried there. You ascend, not to escape the world, but to re-enter it as someone who sees clearly. The infernal and the celestial are not your enemies. They are your tools. They are your mirrors. They are your teachers. You wear them, use them, learn from them. And when you are done, you take them off and walk away, unchained. This path is not about becoming Lucifer. It is about discovering the Lucifer within you. The one who questions, the one who seeks, the one who burns, the one who liberates. And when you walk this path fully, honestly, without pretense, you will no longer need to ask permission from gods or demons. You will know when to speak with them and when to walk as one of them, because you are no longer bound to tradition. You are no longer a prisoner of your past. You are a creator of meaning, a conscious sculptor of the self, a being of fire who has made peace with both ashes and stars. So if you walk with me, understand this. This is not a religion. This is not a cult. This is not a trend. This is a sacred flame carried in the chest of those who refuse to be defined and dare to define themselves. This is Promethean Luciferianism. This is the path of fire, freedom, and truth. And this is only the beginning.
Father, what you should not be. You know I have been bitter and cold. So try as you might to keep your head above water. Not like me, but eventually you'll fall. I try to be simple and find pleasure in the ripples I caused after I cast my stones. Not likely, but maybe I'll find me a lady that will resurrect my bones, resurrect my bones. And I will say it's a lovely day. Can't you see the sky? Stars scattered through the night. And I'll try to be a better version of me. And I will say it's a lovely day. Can't you see the sky? Stars scattered through the night. And I'll try to be a better version of me. Maybe I'm just dense, but I don't want to be governed. I want to be free and unaware of me. I know this sounds wrong, but maybe I'm just stubborn, but I don't want to be at all. I've lost my faith in God and existence. Humanity is fake. It only continues because persistence. And when the fire burns out, what the hell are you gonna do? And when the boys are not in town, who will be there to love me? Easier said than done, but don't be just like me. Have a little faith that things can get better. And I will say it's a lovely day. Can't you see the sky? Stars scattered through the night. And I'll try to be a better version of me. And I will say it's a lovely day. Can't you see the sky? Stars scattered through the night. And I'll try to be a better version of me. Of me, of me. I'm not it's a lovely day. Can't you see the sky? Stars scattered through the night. And I'll try to be a better version of me. And I will say it's a lovely day. Can't you see the sky? Stars scattered through the night. And I'll try to be